He reached across the table and ripped off her wig, just like that, in front of everyone, in the middle of a wedding. My 16-year-old daughter's wig, the one she picked out so carefully, the one that made her feel like herself again after months of chemotherapy, was yanked off her head like a cruel party trick. Her bare scalp, raw and still recovering, exposed to a room full of laughing guests, and my husband was one of them. This is the moment everything snapped. The moment I realized that the people who were supposed to protect her, to love her, to help her feel whole again, had instead chosen mockery, chosen cruelty, chosen themselves. This is the story of the wedding we walked out of the stepbrother who thought humiliation was funny, of the man I married who said I was overreacting, and of the daughter I swore to protect, no matter the cost. It started with cancer. My daughter, Megan, was 16 when she was diagnosed. We'd spent months in hospitals, months watching her body weaken while her spirit tried to stay strong. Her hair fell out early into treatment. She tried to smile through it, tried to joke, but when she looked in the mirror, I could see the pain she didn't say out loud. That loss. It wasn't just about hair. It was about identity, confidence, control. When the treatments ended and she entered recovery, she wasn't the same. She stopped going out, wouldn't let friends visit. She avoided mirrors, cameras, even family gatherings. And no matter how much I told her she was still beautiful, still my bright, fierce Megan, she didn't believe it. Not anymore. And then there was Ben, my husband's son from a previous marriage, 18 years old, 2 years older than Megan, living with us for the past year. And since the beginning, it was like he couldn't resist poking at her pain, calling her Baldy under his breath, making jokes about joining the Avengers because her head looked like a superhero's. And once, I caught him trying to take secret photos of her without her wig. I shut that down immediately. My husband said I was being dramatic, that Ben was just teasing, that this is how siblings bond. No, this wasn't bonding. This was bullying. Still, when his sister's wedding came up, the big family event everyone had been talking about for months, Megan said no. She didn't want to go. I didn't blame her, but I wanted her to try, to feel seen, to see people again. So I sat with her, gently, patiently, until she finally said, "Fine, but only if I can wear a wig." That wig was everything. We went shopping together, just the two of us. She tried on a dozen styles before settling on a soft pixie cut. It was bold, elegant, and when she looked at herself in the mirror, she smiled. I hadn't seen that smile in months. When we came home, my husband and Ben laughed. Just laughed. Asked if she was trying to be in a fashion magazine. Megan went silent. I clenched my fists, but again, he said it was harmless, that it was just a joke. I let it go. I shouldn't have. The wedding was held in a big garden venue. Strings of fairy lights, white linens, music that floated on the summer breeze. Megan wore a pale green dress that matched her eyes. And that pixie wig? She looked radiant. Nervous, but radiant. I kept glancing at her across the table, proud and hopeful. Maybe this would be a turning point. Then, the conversation turned toward her. One of the cousins asked about her health. Another complimented her dress. Someone mentioned her hair, said it looked so real. And just as Megan started to thank them, to actually speak for the first time that night, Ben reached across the table and pulled hard. The wig came off, time froze, and then Laughter, not just from Ben, from his cousins, his friends, a couple of the guests. And then I looked over. My husband, sitting beside his mother, laughing at his stepdaughter, a teenage cancer survivor, humiliated in front of an entire wedding. Megan screamed, grabbed her wig, covered her head with shaking hands, and ran. I sat there, stunned. Then fury took over. I stood up, right there in the middle of the reception, and I let Ben have it. Loud enough for the whole table to hear. I didn't hold back. I didn't care who was watching. And then I left, grabbed my bag, ran after my daughter, and drove us home. They didn't have a ride back. Not Ben. Not my husband. They called. I didn't answer. When he finally got home, long after midnight, he was furious. Said I embarrassed him. Said I ruined the wedding. That I left him stranded. That I was overreacting. I stared at him in disbelief. I asked how he could laugh. How he could watch his son pull off Megan's wig in front of everyone and do nothing. He said it was just kids teasing each other. That Ben had no malicious intent. That I was too sensitive. That I was getting in the way of them bonding. Bonding. My daughter had just begun to reclaim a piece of herself. One evening, one fragile moment of confidence, and it was shattered. He didn't apologize. Ben didn't either. In fact, Ben refused. Said she needed to lighten up. Said I couldn't take a joke. His father backed him up. And me? I was left staring at two people who thought a teenage girl's trauma was something to laugh at. Megan hasn't spoken much since. She stays in her room. I hear her crying some nights, and I don't know how to reach her. I keep playing that moment in my head, the way she froze, the way she ran, the way the laughter followed her like a swarm. And now, I'm sitting here, wondering if I made things worse. Was I right to leave? To cause a scene? To walk out of a family wedding? Or was I just being overprotective? So, am I the asshole? No. You are not the asshole. You are a mother. And in a world where cruelty often wears the mask of humor, where bullying hides behind jokes, and where family is sometimes the first to wound us, what your daughter needed most in that moment was someone to stand up. And you did. What happened at that wedding wasn't teasing. It wasn't bonding. It wasn't harmless. It was humiliation. It was abuse. And it was public. What makes this story heartbreaking isn't just the act, but the excuses that followed. The denial. The gaslighting. The silence. A wig is not just hair. For a cancer survivor, especially a teenage girl, it is armor. It is safety. It is hope. And when that armor is stripped away, the pain goes deeper than skin. It cuts into the very core of a person's self-worth. Megan needed healing. What she got was betrayal. And what Ben needs is not a mother who lets it slide, but a world that says, this ends here. To the parents listening, what do you teach your children about kindness when no one's watching? To the partners listening, what do you defend when cruelty comes from your blood? And to everyone listening, what would you have done? Because the real question isn't, was she wrong to leave the wedding? The real question is, when someone you love is being torn down, will you stay seated? Or will you stand up and walk out? Let us know what you would have done in the comments. This was AITA Story Vault. Real stories, real voices, and the messy truth of being human. Thanks for listening.